Alright, welcome to the 311 Griffin YouTube channel. I'm still doing more testing and practice at longer races on the hardest difficulty with less and less stuff on my HUD. And this is Yas Marina. It's 30 laps. I tested this the other day and I can't remember how many laps I could go in different cars with, for pit stops, but 30 might be too long. I try to make these, especially when I'm on my lunch break from work, I try to make these about an hour long. So this, it might be longer, it might be shorter. I don't want it too much shorter. But Yas Marina is a track that I used to really, really hate. I raced around it a bunch whenever I was trying to get clips for my defensive Yas Marina Forza / DCS crossover video that I did a while back, and it was I learned it a little better and it was quite fun. So here we should be. Yeah, we're starting at the back of the GT pack, which is good. And as usual, I'm going to try my best not to clatter the cars, but going through the first few corners, you're always going to clatter the AI because they suck. And they're very difficult to avoid. Like, there's no reason he should be going that slow. And if you hit your brakes to avoid the ones in the front, the ones in the back are going to clatter into you. So I'm going to go wide here. I'm going to try to cut back, and I'm going to get trapped on the outside here probably. Oh, there we go. I can move over. I was waiting to see that car in my rear view. I could have looked, I suppose. Yep, and I'm getting banged. Like, that's a stupid... The AI is just being dumb back there. That pink car specifically came flying in offline. I'm telling you that I'm going to complain about this in every video. The AI is the biggest problem with Forza, 100%. Especially, like, I do not want... I don't, like, hate the idea of racing multiplayer if everybody's, like, behaving and if there's a penalty system that actually works correctly. But I don't know, like, I just don't have the time to go, like, wait on a race to start, qualify. I don't know if you have to qualify for all of them, but I just don't have the time to go wait for the race to start and then race it and fight a bunch of other people that are banging into each other. In some cases in the past when I have done multiplayer online races, it's been worse than the AI. It's just a bunch of people that don't care about racing correctly. Now, I know it can get better than that. So we had about 5.5% of our fuel taken in that lap. Yep, I'm here, buddy. That AI was kind of respectful since I snuck along the outside of him. I'm also racing this BMW. I've only raced once. It drives quite differently than the C8 and the Aston Martin. That thing's a beast. I tuned it, and it's just insane. But this BMW, I like driving as well. It also correctly shows me the laps. The Corvette doesn't, so I can at least tell what lap I'm on. This is I think my favorite GT car that I've driven is in terms of like what it shows you on the dash display. And it's readable. It's very clear, so I like this one. I like driving this one from the cockpit view. Because I've turned everything on the HUD off but the map. I'm not sure if I will ever... Ooh! Dang it. It drives so different. I'm not sure that I'll ever be able to get rid of the braking line. I'll try at some point, but I've grown quite accustomed to the braking line. Okay, so we should have 4.5, no, 5.5, that'd be 11. We should have 89%-ish as we cross the line. Oh, a little bit lower, 88.9. Oh, there goes the lights. This track gets real weird when the sun comes up, because they turn the lights out prematurely, I think. Try to force him offline a little bit. He was still inside the... so that was, that was a little touchy. I was afraid he was going to dive bomb me, which I probably would have done if I was in his shoes. The other option is to like switch over and cut back, which is probably what the correct move is there. Okay, but we've gone from last to first in our pack, and again, this is on the hardest difficulty. I don't have the maximum penalties set up, and obviously I don't have damage. I've just got fuel and tire. I don't like damage in these kinds of races, because the AI can just take you out easily. Like, I don't want it to be that realistic. I need to play with it though, because it may be different than some of the other games I've played in the past. I can't remember what game it was, but if I turn damage on, like, you would damage your engine and your transmission just driving around the track normally, which is possible, but these cars were meant to be accelerated in, you know, and you're supposed to clatter some of the curbs. I could see if you jump over a sausage curb, you might have a random suspension failure, or you might get a puncture or something like that, but like, it was, ooh, that was different. But it just, like, there was some game I played that it was the last time I tried to put full racing damage on, and I did like 3 laps and my transmission went out. Like, I don't think this car would have made it through testing. I love the sunrise. Yeah, this car, I need to pay attention to my handling here. It seems to understeer a lot more than definitely more than the Corvette. I had the Corvette set up pretty loose, and then I dialed it back a little bit. The Aston Martin is tighter, but it's very, very grippy, and it just feels really solid and stable as I drive it around. This one is like very grippy, but it understeers a lot more whenever I get on the accelerator. So you've really got to be pointing the direction that you want to be pointing, more or less, like when you get back on it. So as I've been playing with this, and let me know if you're watching this video and you just want me to shut up and drive. Just let me know, and then I won't bother recording my voiceover. But I kind of like talking while I drive around. I talk to myself anyway, so in this case I'm just letting you guys hear it and talking about things that are somewhat related to the game. But anyway, as I've played with getting things off the HUD to try to make this look more realistic, one thing I realized is that there is not a good way to tell what lap you're on, or to tell if you're in first or second or third or whatever. And I really like doing the multi-class endurance races, and that gets very confusing at a point whenever you've pitted and not everybody's pitted, and you may not be in first, but the cars in front of you might still need to pit and stuff like that. And it would be kind of difficult to do, but I think the next thing that Forza needs, after fixing the AI or making it more robust and less prone to just sticking to the line and and cheating to get, you know, the desired lap times that the computer's looking for. After fixing all of that, and maybe fixing the penalty system, we really need like a engineer on the radio, which they have, but you get very little information from that engineer. And it'd be cool if there was a way to just get normal information, like every lap, like here's your lap time or here's your sector times, stuff that's normally relayed to us through the HUD. But if we want to turn that HUD off to make it a more realistic experience, we could get radio messages. And then maybe also like a rudimentary or a really easy to access menu for, I don't know exactly how you do this, but for requesting information, like how far behind am I, or you know, or whatever, and maybe like what position am I in, what lap am I on, how far behind am I, some basic stuff like that. How's my fuel? Well, you should always know how your fuel looks. I'm trying to think of just any little thing that might be beneficial that's not on my HUD right now. Oh, but I just remembered one thing that I'd like to see before that, and that is like actual wrecks and debris and conditions for like yellow corners and full course yellows and safety cars and stuff like that. That would be a little bit weird in a game like this, especially a safety car, but I think they do that kind of stuff in Le Mans Ultimate, but it gets a little wonky. I'm not sure the best way to implement it, but I would like to see that kind of stuff too. But yeah, radio messages would be kind of cool. And the reason I would like to see all that in Forza as opposed to something like Le Mans Ultimate is, so far when I've played Le Mans Ultimate, as far as I can tell, you basically have to do a full race weekend. So you set everything up and then you go in and you practice and then you qualify, and I usually skip practicing, but then you qualify, and it's just none of it's as intuitive as Forza is. Forza is actually relatively intuitive, and the gameplay and the control is fairly easy to start figuring out. And since you already have a lot of options with like assists to make your experience better, it's a little bit easier for newer players to pick up, or for someone who's just wanting to race during their lunchtime a little bit. It's a lot easier for that, where like I just never feel like going through the hassle of firing up Le Mans Ultimate and like setting up a race weekend and then, you know, qualifying. And but I would like to see more of the actual race rules and realistic race conditions happening in Forza if you wanted. Not necessarily forcing players to do it, but if they wanted. Like just dialing up the difficulty to the point where if you want to do a formation lap where you're having to go around at a certain speed, and where you have like like fuel settings, lean and rich mixtures. Like I don't really want to mess with that most of the time, but as I get more and more into the game where I want to challenge myself, it would be cool to be able to do that. I think one of the biggest issues is similar to the tire issue here in Forza, where if I'm racing and I haven't bought the race tires yet, the game has to do something really weird to balance it out whenever, let's say, it's raining. So if you've just got regular tires on, you haven't bought the race tires yet, you don't have wets, but your traction isn't just absolutely miserable whenever you take off on, you know, your sport tires or whatever. Now you could argue that sport tires have some water shedding properties or whatever, but it's really a game balancing mechanic where, you know, you're trying to make it a little bit more realistic, but then what if people don't have those settings in place? Like how do you make it not suck to drive in some cases where like I don't want to mess with my fuel mixtures? So like how do you set the car up if I don't want to mess with fuel mixtures? Stuff like that has to be thought through. That's all. But anyway, I was kind of done with Forza because of the fact that I couldn't get the vinyls and because the AI is kind of frustrating. But I still find it to be the most approachable of the racing games, and the most rewarding for me whenever I'm just wanting to race a little bit. And I want it to be somewhat realistic, but not so realistic that I absolutely hate my gaming time. There's not a better racing game out there, in my opinion, than this one, unless it could be Gran Turismo. It's been a while since I played Gran Turismo, and I certainly wouldn't mind picking that back up and seeing how it feels in the modern age. But yeah, like a lot of racing games try to be too real right off the bat. So if you're really into that kind of stuff and you have a wheel and pedals and all that, then it might be your game. But for me, in most cases, I just don't want to have to think that hard or work that hard at it. That's all. Okay, so we're picking up some back markers here. Or not, yeah, I guess you'd call these back markers. They're in a different class, so they're not, it's just the end of the touring car class. So if you haven't done this before, like doing a long race, this was one of my tricks in Forza Motorsport 7 to make a lot of money, and it helped me get better. But in that particular game, you could do short, medium, or long races in the career. So you're like doing all the races in the career that you have to do. Which, by the way, the Forza 7 career was so much better than this current game's career. This game sucks. The career is terrible. Career mode. Like right now, there's not a race in the career that I can do that I haven't already done. I'm just basically waiting on, and I don't even play it that much, but I'm just waiting on them to unlock the next, or to put into the game another set of races I can do anyway. In Forza Motorsport 7, I would, like, on all of the races that I, like, hated the cars in, or that I was just terrible at the tracks, I would change the difficulty down a little bit, and I would make the race as short as possible. But when it came to something like a GT series or a prototype series or something that I really liked racing, I would bump the race length up as high as it would go, and I would put my mods in that earned me more money, and then I would race on the hardest difficulty. And the length of the race allowed me to go through the traffic on the hardest difficulty and get, in the top 3 pretty easily in cars that I liked. Usually first, but not always. And I was okay with that. And then in custom races, I would put in multi-class racing, and I would bump the race length up really, really high. And at first, my second class was always major micros or like hot hatches or something like that. Major micros are fun because they're so slow and they're so small. And then if you get bored, you just smash them off the track. And it was so fun to basically boot VW bugs and Reliant Robins off the track repeatedly as you went around. It was a lot of fun. So, like, that's something you can do in this game. You can't do the mods to make more money. Like, making money is a little bit more difficult in this game. But if you're not quite to the point where you can just easily beat the AI on the hardest difficulty, you can always put in major micros and then hope that the lapped traffic slows them down. Now, it won't as much in this game as it did in the last game, so you may still have to, have some troubles beating the level 8 AI difficulty, or level 8 difficulty AI, whatever. But it can still be fun. And last night I did 20 laps around Le Mans, and I got distracted there. That was a bad corner. Okay, so I'm under 50%. That was 10 laps. So I can go, should be able to go 19 laps. 18, 19, maybe 20. Anyway, I did 20 laps around Le Mans, and I had a little bit higher level penalties turned on, where if you bump them, if you impact other cars and it's your fault, you get penalized and stuff like that. Anyway, it was a really fun race. It was in the Aston Martin, going back and forth between me and I think there was a Ferrari in the mix and a Audi. And I came out of my last pit stop in first place in front of the Audi by, I don't know, 4 seconds. No, it was less than 4 seconds. Anyway, a couple seconds, something like that. And on the last lap, I came up on a KTM Expo, and I hate Expos in Forza. I don't hate them in real life, I just hate them in Forza. They're just always not balanced correctly in this game. And I forgot that I had rewinds turned off, and I forgot that I had the penalties set up the way I did, and I absolutely punted him right off the track into whoop, cut that corner a bit much. And I can't remember if was it at Indianapolis. I can't remember what curve it was on, what turn it was on, but anyway, I punted him and got a 2.5 second penalty, and I won the race before penalties by 2.49 seconds. I lost by 1/100th of a second. But it was funny. I don't mind, I guess. It's my own fault anyway, but yeah, like after racing for an hour I got second place. Oh, that was lap 10. I should have looked at my... That's easier to do the math on. I should have looked at my fuel right as I crossed the finish line. But anyway, that's okay. We'll just keep an eye on it. And in this case, since I know my fuel counter, or I can see my lap counter easily, I should be able to gauge how much fuel to take to finish out the race. I've really started enjoying doing sunrise long races. There's some corners that are really, really difficult to hit your braking and turn-in points when the sun starts coming up on some of these tracks. I can't remember them all, but I've started just setting all of these up to be sunrise race starts. It's really fun. Second place is back there coming through traffic. They're not too far behind. I feel like I worked through the pack and got out in front pretty quickly, but they're not too far behind. Although it doesn't really matter as long as I don't mess up, because with 30 laps, based on what my car is doing, I'm pretty sure everything will have to pit. I don't think any of the cars can make it 30 without pitting. The game does some really weird stuff with the balancing, though, of fuel consumption and when the AI has to pit. Whoa, I did not turn in correctly there. I felt it as soon as I missed the turn in. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be drifting out wide here. I just realized too, I was talking about not liking this track, and how I got kind of used to it. But this track was laid out different. This is like this is the newer circuit design. I believe they may have even changed it more since then, but like I know that it's different. This isn't quite like the way it was in Forza Motorsport 7. So I think this part is the same, but I think it's at the end of this straight, or pseudo straight, where it's a little bit different. Because like this has the big, like, it's not really a sweeper, but this big curve, and it used to do something else. I don't actually remember what it did. I know that it was different, and I know I kind of hated it. But I think it was another, like, left-right kind of a thing. Although, yeah, I don't really remember. I'll have to go back and either race it again in Forza 7 or watch watch the footage that I had. And I've read that race car drivers didn't really like this circuit before because it didn't have really good passing opportunities. Man, second place is still just like 2 turns back. I haven't been able to move the gap open much. Maybe it's because I'm talking too much and not driving as well. Oh, I knew it. I was going to try to squeeze a little bit more speed out of that whenever, but it didn't work. After 14. Cut that more than I meant to. Golly. The car slowed down faster than I thought it would, and then I turned in too soon, and imperfections, man. That's okay. I'm not a very good driver. Woo! Almost turned in on the guardrail. So that's like 5.8. I thought I was using less fuel than that. It was 22% and now it was 16.4. Am I thinking about that correct? 6? Yeah, that's like... I guess it's like 4... yeah, no, I'm just doing math wrong. Somewhere in the neighborhood of 4.6, 4.5. No, I thought it was 5. Yeah, 5. I'm dumb. 5.5%, 5.6%, something like that. Okay, that's consistent. So I really need 11 to go 2 more laps. 11%. 5.6. I'd need 11.5% probably to go 2 more laps. I don't think I'm going to have it, just to be safe. So looks like I'm going to be doing 11.2 would get me around twice more, but I think I'm going to do 1 more lap. That'll finish me on 17. So I'll have 14 laps left. Huh. I can't save too much fuel, or I can't save, I mean technically I don't need 100%, but I could potentially try to save fuel and go around again. But in my experience that doesn't help much unless you lift and coast a lot throughout the entire track or the race. How much am I going to need, though? I got 14 laps, and I need 5.6% per lap. It'd be like 80% should do it, I would think. I think 80% will do it. Ooh, man, I could have saved enough to go around again. Oh yeah, I forgot. Kink's pretty hard there. Alright, we're going to throw on softs, and we're going to go 80%. Let's go 90% just to be safe. I didn't have much time. I think it'll just add, like, a couple tenths. Now we got this long pit exit. This is the least scuffed I've ever had a car going into my pit after racing that many laps and through the entire field. This is my Perkins Trine Midnight Regiment BMW. I don't love it, but I painstakingly recreated the BMW scheme and then added my own custom logos and stuff. Alright, I think we're not in first. Yeah, we are definitely not in first. Now, cold tires are usually not too big of an issue in Forza, at least in the career races I've done and free races, but we'll be careful anyway. So that's an issue where the AI really should have avoided contact with me. I know I slipped up the inside of him without a ton of room before the turn, but you're lapped traffic at that point. You're a slower car. If the other car can safely make it up in front of you and then start braking, like, you shouldn't. Plus, I gave him space on the outside. He could have braked alongside me and avoided contact. So it's kind of dumb that the AI turned in on me and didn't brake in time. So it's kind of frustrating. No, I mean, no real harm done. It was just a little bump, but it's frustrating anyway. When I gave him space, I did go towards the outside a little bit to give myself a little more space, but I gave him room. I'm gonna back out of that one. I don't really have space to do it. Oh man, I hate it when they park on the apex. They like come around, they've made the apex, and then they hit their brakes anyway. Maybe it's supposed to simulate like bad human drivers that do that whenever they aren't going to make the exit correctly. They're going to understeer, so they go ahead and hit their brakes again. I've done it before, to be fair. I've done it. I still do it from time to time. But, okay, so right now is a key time whenever I'd like a radio message. I can pause the game and see what place I'm in, but I don't want to. So it would be nice, and I'm looking on the screen. I don't think there's anything on the screen that tells you what position you're in, but that maybe I'm in position 3, and that's what's in the lower right. I don't know. I can't really read what it says very well. Let's change the view here. Head. No, that's something else. Those are things that don't have any actual function in this game, as far as I know. Like settings you would have on in a real car. The fuel and the boost and you know, brake bias and stuff like that. So yeah, I'd like to know what position I'm in as I come out of the pits. You know, the cruise engineer would probably be on the radio with me saying that, like, I'm coming out so many seconds behind so and so, and so many seconds in front of so and so, and then I would kind of know where I'm positioned for the end of the race. Now, these other cars should eventually pit, and I would assume that since I went into the pits in first, I'll eventually go back into first, but I would still like to know. And in a race that's really, really tight, and changing tires or getting an extra quarter of a gallon of gas makes a big difference on your pit time. Like, you would really, really want to know how far ahead or behind you are. But I think we're catching whatever red dot's right in front of us here. Oh man, I thought I had that. I just let off the brakes a little bit to reposition, and it wouldn't. It was too much. Don't come up, dadgummit! Like, blue flag, my man, blue flag. They gotta fix this kind of behavior from the AI, especially if they want to actually have multi-class racing in their game. That's the nature of multi-class racing, is having faster cars coming up behind you and slower cars in front of you that you have to avoid. And if, like, I mean, this this game is just built for me in my position right now with slower traffic that I'm trying to navigate. I should just be smashing it out of the way, pushing it off the track. I really should be. With the way they drive, like, I'd be justified in doing so, because the inverse of that is also true. If I'm supposed to avoid hitting them as I come up behind them, then they need to avoid getting in my way as I'm trying to pass them, without compromising their own race, obviously. But I shouldn't be expected to avoid slower traffic if they're not going to be expected to try to avoid faster traffic coming up behind them when they can. And specifically, when you're going around them and into a corner, and then they're just like, nah, I'm gonna come across and retake the line, even though you're there. Thought I was catching him, but I may not be. Touring car might get in my way at an inopportune time. No, it'll be okay. I think it'll be okay. Maybe. Nah, we're not going to catch him by this corner. So he might slow us down just a touch. Maybe not, though. I should be able to slip by here without any problems. Nice. That was not too bad. So, whoever's in first, I think, I'm guessing that car in front of me is in first. They caught up to a back marker. So that might slow them down a little bit too. I can only hope. I still think they're going to pit, and I still think that that'll put me in, well, that for sure would put me in first. But I always start getting nervous as I get close to the race end, whenever I'm having trouble catching them, but that's the fun of it. Yeah, and even in this case, like, we've got a lapped, we have a lapped GT car up here. They would be getting blue flags. Now, they don't want to go a lap behind, and as long as they can, like, safely stay in front, I don't think it's a problem. Like, I don't think they have to move over necessarily. So they may not be getting blue flags in real life in that situation. I don't remember exactly how that works, but at any rate, like, they don't want to go a lap behind, but they can't really slow down the lapping cars race if they can help. Oh, they both went in the pits. Yep, that was a pass for position, I believe. Okay, I am going to pause it just to see. Oh, I'm in second still. I'm in second. Ooh, Porsche number 70. That's a fast car. All right. That's okay. That's that next car up there, or it should be. Okay. I don't feel bad about pausing it because I should have a radio message or something telling me. It would be nice. So, anyway. Now let's try to make some ground up on that guy. I like to pass them without them pitting, but that's also somewhat unrealistic. And part of the reason I'm racing on the hardest difficulty is because I do want it to be a bit of a challenge. And once it gets to be a bit of a challenge, then, you know, like, you're not going to make up all the ground. It's kind of hard to make up 40 seconds or 30 seconds or whatever on another car that's reasonably close to you in power and speed and agility and all that good stuff, like driving ability, whatever it is, whatever stats it is, they should be pretty close, and that's the whole point. About missed my braking point on that one. Is this first place that pitted? I don't know that it was. Oh man, I liked that corner. I think I got more exit speed out of it. I just now realized that I have a like skylight thing up here. I guess that's just the top of the windshield. Yeah, never mind. That's the top of the windshield over the roll bar. Or whatever. My bad. I thought it was a skylight. Or a sunroof thing. Moonroof. I guess you'd call it a moonroof if it doesn't open. Is that right? I don't know. Don't mind me. I'm over here looking around the cabin of my car when I should be racing. And I'm getting really confused about where I'm placed and which car's up in front of me doing what. I see another guy's pitting. Some of those are just going to be lapped cars pitting. Or cars that are getting lapped. So we got one coming out of the pits. It's a really dangerous situation when you got a car coming out of the pits and people trying to race and pass. Golly, this is that's a fast touring car that doesn't seem to have any track awareness. Golly. Okay, that's actually pissing me off. Go around, buddy. Yeah, nope, I'm mad now. Oh, I better be careful or I'll get a penalty. I was going to boot him off the track, but I just need to pass. But it makes me mad, like, he clattered me multiple times whenever, like, in that situation in real life, you would avoid contact and let the faster car around. Okay, calm down, Max. Ooh, I came into that really hot, but this is, yeah, this is first place right here. He got caught up in traffic too. I can't believe I made that corner there. Whew. The BMW definitely has some grunt. Okay, so that's us. That should be a first place position at this moment. If I can just avoid like getting angry and punting someone off the track and getting a penalty for it, we'll be good. I thought that Porsche should still have to pit though, I would think. Because if I was ahead, so I should have, assuming everybody pitted at on the same lap, I should have come out in front. So I'm guessing that Porsche still has to pit and somebody else is technically in second. Or officially in second, maybe? How would you word that? Realistically in second, even though the Porsche is currently in second. But if any car could go a lot more laps, like that, this is 7 laps after I pitted, I think. If any car could do it, it would be the Porsche, unless you're talking about like Ben Keating in the C8 at Fuji last year. Jeez Louise. I'm not sure they had. I was really rooting for that Corvette, and I always liked rooting for Ben Keating, but I think they had the balance of power a little bit off in the WEC last season, because that Corvette was just really powerful, and at Fuji it showed. I liked the idea of it being because of right foot braking, or right foot braking. Sorry, yeah, right foot braking. I'm thinking of the same thing. I can't do two things at once, so. But yeah, like, he lifted off of the throttle to brake because that's how he brakes. And it saved a lot of fuel. Plus he just drove it fairly efficiently and picked up speed efficiently where he could. I guess that was the story anyway. But they got like 20 more minutes on a stint. It was crazy. I actually enjoy the traffic a bit. It's what makes these fun. It's because you have to be careful and you can't just like go careening around corners. You have to understand where the braking points are for other cars too, and make sure you don't do anything stupid. Ah, Caddy's ducking into the pits. And I really don't mind the little bumps. Those happen a fair amount in real racing anyway. I'm gonna give this guy space. That works. I'm happy with that. I was almost positive he was going to come up on the line and that I was going to have to brake more than him anyway. He's in a smaller car. I don't even know what that is. I didn't happen to notice as I went by, but it doesn't seem like it should be in the same class with me. But Forza has some really weird car division slash classes, so whatever. But it just looked like he was going to not have to brake as much to make that corner. And the AI does like to stick to the line, so it worked out. Just give him some space, cut back, and accelerate hard to get a good exit and switch over and pass him. Got a little sloppy on that corner. Alright, one more after this one. Should be good. Tires are pretty good. Fuel is definitely good. I got way too much. Why can't you give me more information throughout the race? I don't like getting just like 3 to go and one more lap. She does tell you about the penalties. Whenever you get penalties, she'll tell you, which is handy, I guess. I took too much speed into that corner there. Man, I don't know why it lags like that. It's the second time it's done it in this race, but it hardly ever does that. Is that an Acura? Oh yeah, that's a DLC car, I think. I'm pretty sure. There's one that may not be, but There's a lot of DLC cars in Forza. It makes me kind of mad because the car list wasn't very extensive to start with, and then they started adding cars, but you gotta buy most of them. It's very frustrating. I mean, I don't really want a Jordan Luca 3 car Camaro. Like, I want more GT cars and prototypes, and especially hypercars. There's one hypercar unless you want to pay for DLC, and if you want to pay for DLC, you get a second hypercar. Whoa, that's amazing. There we go. That was a pretty clean race. Not too bad. Not too bad. And right at an hour. I got it. Got my laps right, I guess. So very cool. Very cool. Let's go to the end of race festivities. Oh, that's a different Porsche, yeah. And Lambo. Nice. There we go. That's the win. Thank you guys for watching. Happy driving. Take care.